Anna Boleyn moved quietly, having learned not to make a sound. Every morning, she walked the streets of San Sebastian as if they were the hallways of an old house, unhurried, without stumbling, without attracting attention. At 47, she had left behind everything that once defined her. Now she was a librarian, a woman with a soft voice and eyes that went unnoticed. Her apartment was filled with books but lacked music. It had no radio or television. If silence could be played, hers would be as heavy as dark velvet. In her youth, she had shown promise as a classical pianist. She performed in small theaters, dreaming of grand stages. But dreams have their limits, and hers shattered one November afternoon, many years ago. Since then, Anna had lived among dusty rooms and precise routines. That afternoon, however, something shifted. "Anna, are you coming to Alina's farewell party?" asked Lourdes, her library colleague, as they quietly shelved books. "Party?" Anna frowned, uneasy. "I'm not into parties, Lourdes. Just for a bit. We don't say goodbye to someone every week." "You'll be fine." Anna didn't want to go, but a strange pang in her chest, perhaps the loneliness she never admitted, nudged her to agree. So that evening, for the first time in years, she wore a simple black dress, brushed her hair with extra care, and walked to the small apartment where Alina lived. The party wasn't loud, but it was lively. Soft laughter, clinking glasses, conversations weaving through the air. Anna stayed near a wall like a painting no one notices. She observed, she stayed silent, until a melody floated through the room like a sigh. A flute. A flute playing an old, gentle melody with a melancholic touch that stirred something in her chest. It was a piece by Debussy, one she used to play on the piano in her youth. Her breathing faltered, her heart raced. She didn't want to look, but she did. The flutist was young, no older than 26. Dark-haired, slender, with an intense gaze, he seemed part of the music. He played with his eyes closed, as if searching for someone in his memory. The whole room was drawn to him, except him. "He's new in town," someone beside Anna said. "His name's Mario, he studies composition and just moved here. Jorge invited him, says he's a genius." Anna didn't respond. Her eyes grew damp. The melody, her lost melody, flowed through her like a river running through a dry streambed again. When Mario opened his eyes and scanned the room, his gaze met Anna's. It was just a moment, but she couldn't hold it. Suddenly, everything was too much. "Are you okay?" Lourdes asked, noticing the tremor in her hands. Anna didn't answer. She left the apartment without a word, hurrying down the stairs. On the street, she leaned against a wall and closed her eyes. The echo of the flute still lingered in her chest. The days returned to their usual rhythm at the San Sebastian Municipal Library. Anna Boleyn shelved books, updated records, and moved silently among shelves she knew by heart. But something had changed, though she refused to admit it. The echo of that flute still resonated in her mind like a breeze that wouldn't fade. Sometimes, when she closed her eyes, she could hear the exact melody again, each note vibrating in her chest. Nearly a week had passed since the party, but the memory of the young flutist lingered. One morning, while logging a return, Lourdes looked up from the counter with a curious smile. "You have a visitor, Anna." Anna glanced up. At first, she didn't fully recognize him, but when he approached, her heart skipped a beat. It was him. "Hello," Mario said in a clear, kind voice. "I was told I could find some rare sheet music here. I'm looking for 19th century French composers, unusual stuff. Can you help me?" Anna quickly composed herself. Her face returned to the distant, calm expression she showed all patrons. "The sheet music is on the second floor music section. You can look for it yourself." Mario didn't seem fazed by her coolness. He gave a slight smile and added, "They say a pianist who used to play those pieces works here." "Is that you?" Anna froze. For a second, it felt like all the air had left the room. "I just shelve books," she said curtly. "If you need help with the sheet music, Lourdes can assist you." "I didn't mean to bother you," he replied, stepping back. "It's just that, when I played the other day, I noticed something in your eyes, like you knew the melody." Anna didn't respond. She turned and slipped between the shelves as if escaping an invisible flame. The rest of the day, her mind was unsettled. Every time she tried to focus, she saw Mario's image. And worse, she heard the music. Not her music, but his. A wooden flute, warm and old. As she left work, she walked more slowly than usual. The afternoon settled over San Sebastian's rooftops like liquid watercolor. When she reached the small square by San Vicent Church, Anna heard something that stopped her cold. A flute. She turned and saw him, sitting on a stone bench, holding a small 50-centimeter flute. Dark wood, unadorned. Handmade, no doubt. The sound he drew from it was soft and ethereal, as if stroking the air. There was no audience, just a few curious pigeons and an older woman with a bag of bread. Mario played for himself, as if no one else existed. Anna hid partially behind a tree, watching him silently. His fingers were precise but not stiff. His body moved with the music without excess. He played with his soul, not just technique, and that was what hurt most. The melody was new, but it carried the same nostalgic tone as before, like a letter written in notes instead of words. Anna didn't know how long she stood there, listening. That night, back home, she turned on the light in the room she always avoided for the first time in years. She crossed the room with hesitant steps and opened the top closet. From there, among boxes tied with faded ribbons, she pulled out a large, dusty folder. She placed it on the table. They were her old sheet music. Some handwritten, others photocopied and marked with pencil notes. Among them, one bore her name in blue ink at the bottom corner. Arabesque No. 1, Debussy, performed by Anna Boleyn. The flute still echoed in her mind. The climate of San Sebastian had shifted. Early autumn's light rains draped the city in a damp veil, and walks by the sea grew quieter. Anna walked down the main street with her bag slung across her shoulder, trying to ignore the notes still running through her mind since that afternoon in the square. But the melody lingered, like a forgotten promise. The next day, while shelving books in the history section, Lourdes appeared with a mysterious smile. "Someone left this for you at the desk." It was a folded sheet of paper, no envelope. Anna took it cautiously and opened it. It was a handwritten invitation. "Anna, I'll be rehearsing this afternoon in the old hall at the conservatory's former building, the one no one uses anymore. I'd love for you to listen. It's a new piece, and I need an honest opinion. Mario." Anna crumpled the paper, tucked it away without a word, and tried to go on with her day as if nothing had happened. But every minute, she felt the paper burning in her pocket. In the end, when the clock struck 5, her body decided for her. Without knowing how or why, she found herself at the old conservatory building. The place had an air of neglect but still held the elegance of another era. Tall windows, high ceilings, dust floating in the light like particles of memory. Mario was there, tuning his flute on a makeshift platform. When he saw her enter, he smiled without surprise. "I knew you'd come." "I'm just passing by," Anna replied coldly. "I don't like being lured into emotional traps." "It's not a trap," he said, setting the flute aside. "It's an opportunity. I'm composing a piece that needs a dialogue. Flute and piano, but I can't find a pianist who understands the language of breathing. Everyone plays correctly, but no one breathes with me." Anna frowned. "And you think I can after all this time? I doubt it." "I felt it. That day, when you heard me, you were playing with me without moving your hands." She didn't know how to respond. The young man's boldness irked her, yet something inside her stirred. Mario, seeing her silence, didn't push. He headed for the exit and said, "The piano's there in case you decide to remember." Alone in the room, Anna looked at the instrument. It was old, but not so old as to be out of tune. The bench was slightly askew. The key cover was open. She approached it like one might approach a familiar grave. She sat carefully. Her fingers rested on the keys. They were cold. Her hands trembled, one note then another. The melody didn't come yet, just scattered sounds. Anna closed her eyes. The silence was heavy. There was no one, but the room seemed to listen. Then she stood. She left the bench where it was. She walked out quickly without looking back, but in her mind there was no longer silence. The same melody played. And this time the piano joined the flute. That night in her apartment, Anna turned on the standing lamp and stared at her piano, covered by a beige cloth. She had kept it out of habit. Still in tune, still alive. She removed the cloth with trembling hands. She sat down. The keys were colder than those at the conservatory, but they felt familiar, something that hadn't faded. She began to play slowly with long pauses between notes. but she played. For the first time in 15 years, Anna Boleyn played the piano again. The rain continued to caress San Sebastian's rooftops, as if the sky refused to fully dry. At the old conservatory building, raindrops tapped the grimy glass in a soft, almost rhythmic cadence. Anna climbed the worn marble stairs slowly. This time she had no sheet music or excuse. She was just there to listen. It had happened several times now. Not playing, just listening. Mario was already there, as if he'd never left. He greeted her with a slight nod, no words. In the empty room, light filtered in as a golden haze. He sat in the center, flute in hand. The same dark wood, polished by time. He placed it carefully to his lips and began to play. The melody wasn't cheerful, nor was it sad. It was introspective. It had that tone of searching and resignation that only some musicians convey. Anna sat on a bench in the back. This time she didn't hide. She listened with her eyes open. When he finished, the silence lingered longer than the final note, as if both were waiting for someone else to speak. "You play like the world's made of glass," Anna said, not looking directly at Mario. "Because sometimes it is," he replied with a brief smile. He approached, flute still in hand, and sat on a nearby bench. "This flute was my grandfather's," he said, slowly turning it in his fingers. He said it was handmade by a blind craftsman in the Pyrenees. It's worthless to collectors, but it has soul. He said it only sounds true when it's near honest people. Anna raised an eyebrow. "And how do you define that? Some kind of emotion detector?" "I don't know," Mario replied, shrugging. "But when I play for some people, the music just doesn't flow. With you, it does." The words fell like heavy drops. Anna looked down, her fingers twitching slightly on her knee, as if seeking invisible notes. "I haven't played in 15 years, she finally said, her voice barely audible. "The last time was at a concert in Bilbao. I remember every second of that night, not because it was great, but because when it ended, I got a call." Mario stayed silent. He waited. "My younger sister died in a car accident while coming to hear me play. She died because of me, because she was late trying to find the venue, because I insisted she come." The last words came out like a broken whisper. Anna didn't cry, but her eyes had that dry, contained pain that hurt more than tears. "Since then, I couldn't look at a piano without feeling I was to blame." Mario listened respectfully, without rushing to speak. "And now, I don't know. I feel something calling me again. I don't want to live in silence. But I'm scared of losing again." A new silence fell, warmer. When Anna got home that night, she still felt the echo of what was said and unsaid. She hung her coat, took off her shoes, turned on the living room lamp. Only then did she notice something on the table. The flute, the same one, with its leather case and a small handwritten note. "Music isn't lost as long as someone's willing to listen. M." Anna took the flute with trembling hands, as if holding something sacred. She knew he hadn't forgotten it by mistake. He'd left it on purpose, as a sign of trust, or an unspoken pact. Autumn arrived without asking permission. Leaves crunched underfoot. The gray sky seemed to cloak San Sebastian in a forced calm. But in Anna's apartment, something new began to bloom. The flute remained on her table. She didn't dare move or store it. It had a presence that felt close to her. Every time she passed through the living room, she looked at it with respect, as if the flute were watching her, or inspiring her. One night after dinner, Anna sat at the piano without knowing why. She lifted the lid, stared at the keys, then turned to the paper. The blank notebook intimidated her, but her fingers, for the first time in years, had something to say. She started with a short, simple melody. Then she expanded it. She tested chords. It was an imagined conversation, one part for the piano, the other for the flute. She spent hours absorbed in that idea. It wasn't a brilliant piece, but it had soul. She didn't know if it was good, but she knew it was honest. The next morning, Mario returned. He appeared at her door unannounced, as if drawn to see her. He wore the same denim jacket and a calm expression. "Can I come in?" Anna hesitated for a second, but let him in. He immediately noticed the sheet music open on the piano. He approached, studying the lines written in blue ink, the small pencil corrections. "Is this yours?" "Yes, or something like it. It's not finished." "It's beautiful. It has questions and answers, like it's talking to itself." Anna shrugged. She hadn't expected praise. Then Mario handed her a blank card. "Next week at the music school, there's a private event. Nothing formal, just a small showcase for students, teachers, and guests. I want us to play this together there, just one piece, just once." Anna looked at him for a long time. Her chest tightened. "No, Mario. I can't." "Why?" "Because I'm not who I used to be, because I'm 47 and my body doesn't respond the same, because I don't trust myself, because I broke a long time ago and I don't know if I've fully put myself back together." He didn't reply right away. He just looked at her in that quiet way he had of understanding without asking. "Okay," he finally said. "I won't push you." And without another word, he left. No drama, no resentment, but also no smile. Anna was left alone, with a strange emptiness in her chest, as if something had closed too soon. Days later, that same silence led her, unintentionally, to the music school. She stopped at the auditorium door. It was ajar. Inside, there were only a few students, but on stage were Mario and another girl. The young woman was a 20-year-old blonde with quick, precise movements. She played the piano with enviable confidence. Mario watched her closely, marking entries, adjusting tempos. Anna didn't feel jealous. It wasn't that. It was something deeper, Rower. Pain. Pain from seeing music move forward without her. Pain from feeling outside a world she once belonged to. Pain from knowing that, out of fear, she might be missing her last chance to play not just the piano, but her own soul. The flute's echo blended with the piano in beautiful harmony. And Anna, from the corridor's shadow, realized no one would push her forward. Either she stepped up alone, or she stayed behind. The sky was heavy with clouds, and a cold breeze swept the city, carrying the scent of the sea. Anna stopped across from the music school, not daring to get too close. She stood on the other side of the street, under a bare tree, as if its trunk could shield her from what she saw. Through the windows, the room buzzed with life. Mario rehearsed with the same young pianist. They laughed fine-tuned details. They sounded good. Perfect, even. Anna watched in silence, arms crossed over her chest. She didn't cry, but her heart ached. Suddenly, she understood it wasn't about fear, not even about no longer being young. The problem was that she still loved music and hated the pain it had once caused her. She took a step back, turned, and walked away, trying not to think. She headed to the pier. The deserted beach, wet sand, seagulls crying over the sea. There, she always felt lighter. She took off her shoes, walked barefoot to the water's edge, and stopped, breathing in the sea air. "I was looking for you." Mario's voice came suddenly, but it didn't startle her. He was a few steps behind, a leather folder under his arm. "What are you doing here?" she asked calmly. "I couldn't keep rehearsing," he said, stepping closer. "It didn't sound the same. It doesn't matter how well we play. There's no soul without you." Anna looked down. He continued. "I tried. But music isn't just technique. It's a conversation, and I only know how to talk with you." He opened the folder and showed her an old score, one she'd written in her youth. Yellowed pages, familiar annotations. Anna covered her mouth with her hand, not from surprise, but from emotion. "I found it in the conservatory archives. It was signed with your initials. Do you remember it?" "Of course I remember," she whispered. "I want to play it with you. Just that piece, just once." Anna looked at him for a long time. The wind tousled her hair, her fingers trembled, but her heart felt at peace. "Okay," she said at last, "but just once." Mario didn't grin broadly. He just sat in silence, as if it were an agreement between old pain and new hope. The next day, they met in the empty room. It smelled of wood and thyme. Anna sat at the piano. Mario lifted the flute. A dense silence fell, like in a theater before the first chord. The first notes sounded tentative, but then, as if a forgotten door had opened, the music began to breathe. The piano and flute spoke. They held a dialogue. They danced together. Anna played, and something long absent shone in her eyes. A smile, genuine, warm, spread across her lips, not for Mario, for herself. She felt alive again. The room was full, but not packed. It was a select audience, students, teachers, a few local musicians. The light was dim, warm, as if reluctant to disturb the music before it began. In the center, a glossy piano and an empty chair. Beside the stand, the wooden flute waited. Anna's hands trembled as she sat at the piano. She wore black, unadorned. No necklace, no earrings. Just her, the music, and the keys that remembered everything. Mario stood beside her, silent calm. His presence was an anchor. "Ready," he whispered. She nodded, and it began. The composition opened with a soft, almost hesitant introduction. Anna played the keys carefully, as if testing that the music wouldn't vanish on contact. Then came the flute's voice, clear, deep, as if speaking for her what she couldn't say in words. The room fell into absolute silence. Every person, every breath seemed suspended. The dialogue between the instruments grew, intertwined, then parted, as if telling a story of loss, fear, and, finally, forgiveness. The final notes were barely a whisper. There was no immediate applause, just a moment of reverent silence as if no one dared break what had just happened. Then the applause came. Standing, long, grateful, Anna bowed slightly but didn't look at the audience. Not even at Mario. She simply stood, took her coat from the chair, and left the room unhurried without hiding. Her face was calm. There was no fear or pain, just relief. Mario stayed. He stood by the piano, looking at the floor. Then he slowly raised his flute and pressed it to his chest, as if embracing someone lost and finally found. Later, night, Anna's house. Silence. She sat at the desk, a folder of sheet music, letters, and newspaper clippings in the drawer. Everything she'd once hidden. On top, a fresh sheet of paper. On it, a poster. Flute and piano duo, Anna Boleyn and Mario Arce. New concert series, Music Reborn. Anna traced her name with her finger as if rediscovering it. She didn't smile, but in her eyes was a decision. The music had returned, and so had she.